So this is the composite model for the digestive system, and we'll go over that, and then we'll go over each individual location or organ that's an accessory organ, followed by specific histological layers or tunics that are found throughout the system. Up here you have the nasopharynx. You have that leads into the oropharynx, and the oropharynx is going to then lead into the laryngopharynx, or head down the esophagus. The esophagus is going to be lined in the upper 1/3 with skeletal muscle that's controlled voluntarily. And as we move down through there, after swallowing the food or liquid, it's going to propagate into the level of the jugular notch at the top of the sternum. And at that point, it's going to transition from skeletal to smooth muscle, and the smooth muscle will begin the process of peristalsis and pushing that food bolus down into the stomach, the fundic stomach, through the cardiac orifice of the stomach, a sphincter, but not a true sphincter. This area up here above is going to be lined with non-keratinized stratified squamous epithelia. As we move down through the esophagus for protection, it's a moist body opening. And that area then will, the lining of that area then will give rise to the columnar cells that are characteristic of the entire tract. Down here on the bottom end, we would see the same kind of tissue. Since the anus is a moist body opening, we would also see non-keratinized stratified squamous epithelia on the distal portion of this tube of the GI tract or alimentary canal. So as we go back to the stomach here, from the esophagus, it enters through the cardiac orifice, and at the cardiac orifice, the food bolus enters into the stomach, and the chemical digestion process that we're discussing now in class continues. The process of breakdown is going to actually begin up in the mouth with the salivary amylase function of converting to starches to sugars, but protein digestion will begin here in the stomach, with hydrochloric acid being produced in response to gastrin released from enteroendocrine cells, and the lowering of pH activates pepsinogen to pepsin and begins the protein digestion that starts here. These folds in this area are the gastric rugae of the stomach. This is the fundus of the stomach. Here's the main body of the stomach, and that gives then will give rise to the pyloric stomach. And here is the pyloric sphincter that's opening and closing. This is a true sphincter, and its opening and closing would be controlled by the pacemaker cells that are there approximately 3 times per minute. As that opens and closes with the presence of food here, and as the stomach churns the food bolus, it creates acid chyme and lowers the pH of the substance to start the breakdown of the food here. As it comes through this opening, it's going to be sent into the duodenum, the first part of the small intestine, where it's buffered and then added to bicarbonate from the pancreas and from the Brunner's glands that are present in this area, and then the acid chyme will be exposed through the hepatopancreatic ampulla here, with the pancreas adding enzymes through its main pancreatic duct and the common bile duct combining its substances here to continue and to enhance that breakdown. Most of the breakdown is occurring because of enzymes and bile coming from this area. So you would continue carbohydrate and protein digestion in the duodenum, and you would begin the lipid and nucleic acid breakdown as it is exposed to those enzymes that come from this area and the acinar cells of the pancreas. Here you can see the folds or plicae circulari that are present within to provide segmentation within the duodenum. As the duodenum is exposing the acid chyme to the juices that the pancreas is releasing and the enzymes, you begin to do the most absorption in any area in this location. The absorption that's occurring here would be of all types of organic molecules, and you also have the ability to release brush border enzymes that can enhance that breakdown and complete its complete digestion. As you move the substance through this portion here, the small intestine, you'd have the first 10-inch piece of duodenum, followed by the jejunum, which is approximately up to 8 feet. As you get older, it loses its contractility and is going to be a little bit longer. So anywhere from I'd say 5 to 8 feet long. As you continue through the last part of the small intestine, where all this absorption is occurring of nutrients and fluids, you would end up in the ileum, and that's the 12-foot piece that's going to connect down here to the at the ileocecal junction or sphincter with the ascending portion of the large intestine or colon. So here's the ileocecal valve. This is the cecum or elbow. Here's the vermiform appendix that hangs from it, right here. And then you have the segmentation increasing as you move up the ascending colon here. Here we would have a transverse colon coming across this level right here, and then you'd have the two joining by the hepatic flexure right here. So you'd have ascending colon, you'd have hepatic flexure, transverse colon across the anterior portion or superficial portion of the pancreas, and then you'd have the splenic flexure, descending colon, and sigmoid colon leading into the rectum and eventually out of the, through the anus. And this area of the colon, or all areas of the colon, is mostly specialized for the final absorption of water, and the drying out of the waste would lead to the need for an abundance of an increase in the number of goblet cells as you move it through this final segmented area. Each segment, by the way, on this tube are referred to as haustra. Then those haustra are connected via the longitudinal layer of muscularis externa muscle, and that layer is called that connection muscle is called the longitudinal layer. And this will keep things moving forward and propagating through peristaltic action all the way to the end of the line.